Welcome back, and let's speak quietly about that feeling, the one that has been with you for so long it almost feels like a part of you. That subtle, persistent hum of dissonance in your soul, the quiet itch that no amount of external validation or success seems to scratch. The world has always been quick to label this feeling, calling it anxiety, overthinking, a symptom of some deeper maladjustment. And they offered you solutions in the form of pills to quiet your nerves, platitudes to soothe your spirit, and paths of well-trodden conformity to ease your sense of not belonging. But what if that feeling was never a malfunction at all? What if it was, and has always been, a homing signal, a gentle, insistent reminder from the very core of your being that you were built for a different frequency entirely? That you are a visitor in a world of boxes, and you carry the innate knowledge that you do not and were never meant to fit. For years, perhaps for your entire life, you tried your best to follow the script you were given. Be polite, don't make waves, seek approval from the right people, and equate success with the accumulation of external validations, the degrees, the job titles, the quiet suburban life. And every time your spirit naturally rebelled against this confinement, every time you asked a question that made people shift uncomfortably in their seats, or you felt emotions with a depth and intensity that seemed to overwhelm those around you, or you saw straight through the superficiality of a social game everyone else was playing, you were given a label, a diagnosis for your depth: too sensitive, too intense, a dreamer, unrealistic. You were handed these judgments like prescriptions, and in your desire to belong, you tried to swallow them. You tried so hard to believe them, to shrink your energy, to quiet the roaring truth inside you, to convince yourself that the problem was your perception, your feeling, your very essence, and not the narrow, confining cage that had been built around you. You internalized their lies and became your own most effective jailer, policing your own thoughts, dimming your own light, and apologizing for the space you occupied, for the volume of your laughter, for the depth of your love, and for the fire of your anger. But here is the simple, profound secret they never wanted you to stumble upon: the cage was never locked. The limitations were, and always have been, a collective illusion, a story so many agreed upon that it took on the appearance of truth. That discomfort you feel, that dissonance, is not a disorder to be medicated away. It is your spiritual immune system rightly rejecting a reality that is far too small, too sterile, and too artificial for the vast, wild, and authentic being that you are. It is the part of you that never signed the contract, the part that remembers who you were before the world told you who you should be. They didn't hide this truth from you out of personal malice, but out of a systemic, almost mechanical necessity. Systems of control, whether social, corporate, educational, or cultural, rely on predictability and compliance. They need the vast majority of people to believe they are fundamentally powerless, that they need external permission to act, to create, to be, and that their value is a verdict delivered from the outside in. You, with your inconvenient questions, your unbearable realness, and your refusal to fully numb out, are a glitch in that system's code. You are a living, breathing question mark placed directly next to all their period, end of story statements. Let's gently reframe everything they told you was wrong with you. They called you too sensitive, but the truth is, you are deeply perceptive. You are tuned into the subtle energies, the unspoken truths, the emotional undercurrents that most people have been trained to ignore or suppress. This is not a weakness, it is a sophisticated and nuanced radar system that allows you to navigate the world with profound empathy and sharp discernment, to connect with others on a soul level, and to sense danger, insincerity, or beauty long before it becomes obvious to everyone else. They called you too intense. But the truth is, you possess a high capacity for life itself. You experience joy, sorrow, passion, and curiosity at a resonance and volume that can be overwhelming to those who have chosen to live life at a whisper. Your intensity is not a character flaw. It is the very engine of your creativity, your devotion, your loyalty, and your ability to commit fully and passionately to the people, ideas, and causes you love. It is the sacred fire that forges a life of profound meaning. They called you a dreamer. But the truth is, you are a natural visionary. Where others see only what is directly in front of them, you see the blueprint of what could be. Your so-called unrealistic ideas are often just brilliant possibilities that have not yet ripened into reality. You don't just follow existing paths, you perceive the potential for new ones, long before the first brick is laid, or the first step is taken. They pathologized your very essence because they could not comprehend it, and they tried to make you manageable because your wild, untamable, and authentic spirit was a silent, peaceful threat to their neatly ordered and controlled world. But then something in you shifted, as it was always destined to. Perhaps it was a seismic betrayal that shattered the comforting illusion of a safe and predictable world. Or perhaps it was the slow, grinding, bone-deep exhaustion that came from the decades-long performance of pretending to be someone you are not. Or perhaps it was a moment of pure, unexpected grace, a sudden glimpse of your own true reflection in a quiet moment when your guard was down and you weren't trying to be anything for anyone. In that moment, you began to remember. You started, perhaps slowly and hesitantly at first, to withdraw your faith from their system, their definitions, and their approval ratings. You stopped asking, begging, for a seat at a table you never truly wanted to sit at a feast that never truly nourished you. You began the quiet, unglamorous, and deeply courageous work of deconstruction, peeling back the layers of who you were told you had to be, to slowly and tenderly rediscover who you actually always are. This is the precise moment you began to step into your true, unassailable power. Not power over others, but the sovereign power that comes from within. You began to operate from a place of self-authorization. You can't be shamed by those whose opinions you no longer internally value. You can't be intimidated by consequences you have already courageously accepted. You can't be manipulated by narratives you have seen through and no longer believe, and you can't be tempted by hollow prizes that hold no meaning for the soul you are becoming. You stopped seeking that exhausting external validation and started listening, truly listening, to the quiet, unwavering, and loving validation that emanates from within. You realize that the most profound and lasting rebellion is not necessarily loud, dramatic anger, but the quiet, consistent, daily choice to align your life with your own inner truth. No matter how small the step may seem, now you move through the world differently, with a new quality of being. You are not a follower of trends, but a unique frequency. You don't just passively consume culture, you actively create a culture of one, radiating your own values and essence. Your mere presence becomes a quiet, unspoken challenge to the status quo. Your simple, courageous act of living authentically, of being unapologetically and compassionately yourself, makes the invisible cages that surround others suddenly starkly visible. You become living, breathing proof that the doors were always open, that the chains were never locked, and that freedom is not a distant destination, but a choice made in every present moment. This is not about arrogance or a sense of superiority. It is about the humble, sobering, and ultimately empowering realization that you and only you are the sole architect and final authority of your own lived experience. You are the builder of your reality. The old scripts, the inherited rules, the heavy shoulds, they are all merely suggestions, cultural artifacts that you are now free to consciously accept or gently reject based on the wise and loving guidance of your own internal compass. So what happens now, in this new space of remembering? Now you build. You stop wasting your precious energy fighting against their reality, arguing with illusions, and instead you consciously pour all your resources, your time, your attention, your love, into building your own. You curate your relationships, your work, your environment, and your inner world to actively support and nourish the person you are authentically becoming, not the person you were once told you had to be. You embrace the beautiful, messy, and ongoing process of becoming, not a finished perfect product, but a living, evolving, and unique work of art, forever in progress. And they, the voices of doubt, the architects of the old world, the enforcers of conformity, will gradually fade from your experience, not because you have vanquished them in a great battle, but because you have simply peacefully outgrown the entire ecosystem they inhabit. Their judgments become like faint static from a radio station you no longer tune into. Their world becomes a mere backdrop. You move through a reality you are tangibly in, but are no longer of your soul, rooted in a different, more authentic and spacious ground. This, then, is what they were truly hiding from you all along, the liberating, terrifying, and utterly magnificent truth that you have always been free. You just had to remember. You just had to stop, listen beneath the noise, and recall the song your soul came here to sing. And in that act of remembering yourself, you do something extraordinary. You give everyone around you silent, unspoken, but powerfully felt permission to do the same. Your liberation, your quiet courage, your authentic joy, they are not just for you. They are a signal, a resonant frequency in the collective human spirit, a gentle beacon that helps other wandering souls find their own way back home to themselves. And that right there is where the true miracle begins. Not in the explosive drama of enlightenment or some grand celestial proclamation, but in the quiet, grounded realization that your healing is not a private event, it's a transmission. Every breath you take in awareness becomes a signal. Every act of self-compassion becomes a frequency. Every boundary you hold, every truth you speak, every moment you refuse to perform sends ripples through the field of consciousness that surrounds us all. You begin to realize that awakening isn't a solo ascent into the clouds, it's a collective rising from the roots. You are the tuning fork of a much larger harmony, and as you begin to vibrate in resonance with your true nature, others around you can feel it. They may not be able to name it, but something in them stirs, shifts, remembers. It's subtle at first, like a forgotten melody drifting back into awareness, but it grows stronger the more you live in your truth. That is how revolutions truly begin, not with noise, not with slogans or spectacle, but with resonance. You become a silent rebellion against everything false, not through rage, but through remembrance. Your presence itself becomes an act of defiance, a declaration that says, I will no longer abandon myself to make others comfortable. You start to see how the world quietly reorganizes itself around that decision. The people who were meant to leave, leave. The ones who were meant to find you, find you. Life stops feeling like something happening to you, and begins to feel like something unfolding through you. You realize that you are not moving through the universe. The universe is moving through you, expressing itself as your specific pattern of truth, your unique color in the spectrum of being. You stop trying to fix yourself, because you finally understand that you were never broken. You were simply constricted, trying to live inside shapes too small for your soul. And as you expand, your compassion expands with you. You begin to see the sleepwalkers, not as enemies, but as echoes. People trapped in the same trance you once inhabited. You stop arguing with them. Stop trying to prove your worth. Stop begging them to see you, because you know now that their blindness was never about you. You understand that control systems, whether social, political, or emotional, depend on fear, and fear depends on amnesia. When people forget who they are, they become easy to manage. But when even one person remembers, the entire structure begins to crack. Every soul that reclaims itself sends a pulse through the matrix of control, destabilizing it in ways no protest ever could. And that is what you are doing. Just by existing, awake, unapologetic, unafraid, you have become the system's most beautiful malfunction. The old paradigm is trembling now. It can feel the shift. You are part of a quiet army, millions of luminous beings, disguised as ordinary humans, choosing truth over illusion, courage over comfort, love over control. The world may not understand you, but it feels you. It senses something changing beneath its feet, and even if the news still screams chaos, you will start to feel a deeper current underneath it all, a hum of reorganization. The old is crumbling because it must. The new is not coming someday. It's arriving through every act of authenticity you embody today. So what does this mean practically? It means you stop seeking permission. It means you stop apologizing for your sensitivity, your passion, your restlessness. Those are not flaws, they are your compasses. It means you start honoring your own timing instead of rushing to meet the expectations of a world built on speed and scarcity. It means you say no when your soul says no, even if it disappoints others. It means you rest without guilt, love without agenda, speak without performance. It means you stop living reactively and start living creatively. You no longer live as a reflection of what others project. You become the mirror that reflects them back to themselves. You will lose people. You will outgrow situations. You will be misunderstood. That is the natural shedding process of evolution. But what you gain will be immeasurable. You will begin to experience moments of peace, so profound, they almost frighten you, because you realize you're feeling something that doesn't depend on anything external. You will start to attract souls who speak your language without needing translation. Conversations will feel deeper, quieter, more alive. You will find yourself walking through the same streets, sitting in the same rooms, but seeing everything differently, as though the world has been repainted in a light invisible to those still asleep. And perhaps the most astonishing realization of all will be this: the very feeling that haunted you for years, the restlessness, the loneliness, the sense of never quite belonging, was never evidence of your flaw. It was evidence of your calling. It was the compass needle trembling, pointing toward the life you were always meant to live. That ache was your higher self, tapping gently on the walls of the illusion, saying, "Wake up. There's more." You mistook it for anxiety, but it was anticipation. You thought it was sadness, but it was recognition. You thought you were lost, but in truth, you were simply remembering the map. Now, as you walk forward, you will begin to carry that remembrance, like a lantern. You'll meet others on their own dark nights of the soul, and something in your eyes will tell them what words never could, that there is nothing wrong with them, that they too are waking. You'll become a mirror of possibility, a quiet proof that freedom is not found at the top of a mountain or the end of a book, but in the choice to show up each day as who you truly are. That is your sacred work, not to preach, not to convince, but to embody. And when doubt returns, as it inevitably will, remember this: the light you carry was never meant to blind the darkness, it was meant to illuminate it. You don't need to destroy the old world, it will dissolve naturally as you stop feeding it with your fear. Your task is simple and profound: to keep choosing truth, keep choosing presence, keep choosing the quiet power of being real in a world that's forgotten how. The systems of control will try to lure you back, with comfort, with validation, with promises of safety. But you will see through them now, because once you've touched your own truth, false peace tastes like poison. So let's take this moment and honor what you've become. You are not a mistake in the pattern. You are the evolution of it. You are not here to escape the world. You are here to reimagine it. The revolution won't come from the towers of power or the institutions of authority. It will come from people like you, remembering themselves and living that remembrance into reality. This is how the new earth is built, one conscious human at a time. You don't need to save anyone. You don't need to fix everything. Just live your truth so vividly that it gives others permission to live theirs. That is how the world changes. That is how it always has. And if these words reached you, if they stirred that hidden part of you that has been waiting so patiently beneath the surface, then don't let the feeling fade into another fleeting spark. Feed it, nurture it, let it grow. Share this message with someone who might need to hear it. Pass the flame. If these words found their way to you, it's because something deep within you is ready to remember. So, running and mole. Like this video, if it touched your spirit. Subscribe to stay connected to the current of awakening that flows through us all. And if you can, donate to keep this message alive, expanding, and reaching those who are still searching for their light. But more than anything, live it. Don't let this be another beautiful idea you scroll past. Let it sink into your being. Let it shape the way you speak, move, listen, and love. Become the living expression of truth in a world starving for authenticity. Awakening doesn't arrive with thunder or spectacle. It unfolds gently, in every breath you take with awareness, in every act of courage that chooses love over fear. It's not happening out there, it's happening through you. You are the vessel. You are the transmission. Welcome back to the vastness you once dimly remembered. Welcome back to the pulse of eternity that beats quietly inside your chest. Welcome back to the truth that no shadow, no system, no illusion could ever erase. The remembering has begun, and it cannot be undone. The world you've longed for is not distant, it's rising through you, through us, in every conscious act of presence, in every brave moment of love. The age of awakening isn't approaching, it's unfolding now. You can feel it in the stillness between thoughts, in the electricity of recognition that hums when truth passes through you. So keep choosing truth, keep choosing love, keep choosing to be fully here, because it all begins, quietly, reverently, and powerfully, with you. Would you like me to make this version a bit more poetic and cinematic, like a spoken word or video narration?